How you doing, guys and gals? My name's Doug Wilson, and this is Yellow Hawk Customs Outdoors. I'm just sitting out here in the backyard in my little area, and last year I won this knife in an archery contest at the Native Survival Winter Rendezvous this past winter. All right. Now, it came with this sheath, but the sheath is really tight, right? You can't get the knife out. Once you put it in, you can't get it out without, and that's dangerous, okay? That's just dangerous. The other thing I noticed about the sheath is the belt clip is just not in the right place for this thing to ride right on your belt, okay? There is no place to put this clip on this sheath. I'm sure that's why it's down here, okay? So I think what I'm going to show you guys is, if you get a sheath like this that you need to modify, I'm going to show you how to modify it, okay? So in this video, we're going to be modifying this sheath that came with my Mora Garberg that I won in an archery contest at the Native Survival Rendezvous this past winter. Okay, so I'm going to show you how to make it right, if you can make it right. Now, if it does have some wiggle, right? It's got a little bit of rattle, but it is what it is. Somebody else made the sheath, but I'm going to show you what it'll take to make it serviceable. All right, you guys stay tuned and we'll get right to it. Okay, so we've got our Mora Garberg, right? And we have the sheath that wasn't made very well. How's that? So the first thing I'm going to tackle is the retention, all right? Now, if the blade goes in to the sheath and you can feel you're really fighting to get it in, the blade, that may mean the sheath is going to be needed to be remolded, okay? Because they didn't prep the knife right, whoever made the sheath. There's a lot involved in building a Kydex sheath so that it works correctly, right? And then, not to mention, you know, putting options on it and whatnot so that everything functions together, right? And is nice and durable. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to take our heat gun, since it's tight, and it is tight, I think, in the click, you know, where the click is, right? So I'm going to get my gloves. I'm going to take a heat gun to it, okay? Now, I'm going to warn you right now, if you hold the heat gun on the Kydex for more than a full second, you'll burn it, okay? You have to be very careful with it. So what I do is, in this particular instance, whoever made this sheath didn't give a whole lot of room for retention. He cut it off, okay? I know this kind of whatever looks cool, this whatever, but It doesn't leave you much room for retention. You need Kydex up near the retention point in order to have good retention. So we'll see what I can do with it. Alright, I'm just going to heat it up. Got to keep it moving. Keep it moving. I'm going to fix the thumb ramp too. It's not, you can't get your thumb in the thumb ramp. This is what I'm talking about. You know, new makers out there, the new makers, they make a lot of mistakes that they're asking people to pay for. And I think that's just not right. But I'm going to make a new thumb ramp for it. And the other thing is when when the client actually gets the sheath, he thinks that all these mistakes are normal, right? Yeah, like I said, whoever made this didn't really leave enough room . Alright, that's not too bad. You can leave the knife in while you heat it. Just be careful. Yeah, that's pretty good. The only issue I'm having is there's not enough Kydex to get good retention now. Let me try one thing here. All right, that's pretty good. Now, there's no way I can really teach you where to push, where to press, how much heat to put on it. You're just going to have to practice, right? Well, there we go. It's got good retention now. One finger draw, and the thumb ramp actually catches the thumb now. Okay. All right. So the next thing we're going to tackle is we're going to tackle the eyelet situation, the hole situation. All right, so I'm going to take everything off the sheath. Everything that's on it, I'm taking it off. And we're going to make this a serviceable sheath. Something that actually works, that you can wear on your belt. This is a small tech lock that whoever made it put on here, which is a good clip. Small tech locks are good clips. All right. All right. Now this is made for a 1/2-inch ferro rod, I believe. But it's too tight. So first thing we're going to do is let me think. Let me think of how I'm going to want it. Okay. Now there's not enough Kydex for me to put my cant, my cant, like the way I put them at an angle. There's not enough Kydex to do that, so I'm going to have to go with the 2 holes that he has here. But when I do that and I wear it, the handle's going to droop. Okay, that's why I don't do that. But like I said, I don't know, maybe I could sneak. Maybe I could sneak one in there. Nah, that ain't gonna work. All right, well, maybe. Let me think here. Is that good? All right, put it right there. Put that there. Put that there. Maybe. I might be able to do it, but I'm gonna have to drill 2 new holes, and they're gonna look dumb. But for now, I'm just going to leave it the way he has it. There's really not enough Kydex to do it. Just going to leave it the way he has it. Now, if I actually want to put this clip on it that he had on there, I'm going to have to drill another hole in order to do that. So, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to put this clip at an angle. There is enough Kydex for that. Alright, so let me put this in here first. Alright, now I use the item that I'm putting on the sheath to draw the holes. So I'm using the holes in the tech lock to actually draw the holes that I need. That way, you are guaranteed that that thing's going to fit as long as you drill the holes correctly. Okay, this is going to take a 1/4-inch bit. These are 1/4-inch eyelets. All right. So I don't use a drill press. I do everything by hand. As you've seen me do it. There it is right there. That's the hole I have to drill. Got to be careful. There we go. All right. I had a guy trying to help me once, and it took days for him to learn how to drill a hole straight. You know what I mean? It's just he just couldn't get it for whatever reason, and he never really did get it. You know what I mean? He kind of gave up. But just saying that just to let people know this is in my opinion precision work. You got to be precise when you do things. And the best way to be precise is to use the holes that you're given. All right. Now I'm going to I'll put a tan eyelet in this one. Okay. All right. Here's the other thing. The eyelets are put in wrong on this sheath. You should have the factory edge on the outside. You see that? So the factory edge looks much nicer. See it? Than that. This is the rolled edge. So I'm just gonna keep them black. Go over here. Do my drill press. There. You guys can see this. This is the, I'm sorry, not drill press, but the arbor press. This is the arbor press. I got my eyelet dies in there. And there it is. It's in. All right, now, as the Kydex cools, you're going to find that it will get tighter, okay? So now I can barely get it off there. So me being as anal as I am, I'm going to fix it right now. As soon as I find out about it, I fix it. That's not too bad. Good. All right, let's take a look at this. Probably still going to be a little tight. Now, here's the other thing. Pancake style sheaths, right? Pancake style sheaths like this with eyelets on both sides. They're really wide looking sheaths. They tend to lose retention more so than taco style sheaths over the long run. However, tacos can do it too, just less than the pancakes, right? So when you get it cooled down, when the Kydex cools down, if it's a little bit difficult, right, just a little bit difficult to pop with one finger, with one thumb, right, it will loosen up over time, right? And you could give it a little help by spreading it a little bit. So we'll see. There's another trick you can use too to help you combat a really tight fit, and that is put some Seal CLP Plus, right, inside the sheath and around the retention point of the knife, and that helps, okay? It does help until it gets a teeny bit looser over time. There we go. Alright, better. Okay. Alright, back to the belt clip. Okay, so we're going to put the small tech lock on there. These are good clips, okay? They're just not as wide as a tech lock, that's all, okay? But for a smaller knife, you don't need it that wide, and this really decreases weight too, right? The only thing with these is they don't have a lock, all right? But honestly, I've never seen a tech lock pop open by itself. I've never really seen that happen. So let's put. I use rubber bushings first, 1/8 inch rubber bushings, right? I put one here and one here, and what that does is, you see how the blade contour is there? See how the blade sits up higher, right? The Kydex, than it does here. Well, this gives you a nice flush. It makes up for that, for the blade. You know, the rising of the blade there makes up for it. Gives you a nice flat mount. All right. These are number 250 posts. Put one there. Grab a 375 truss head screw. I use really strong hardware. A lot of guys like to use flatheads with tech locks. I don't think they give enough coverage at the head part, okay? So I use trusses. You can see how much bigger they are. All right? So let's put this buggy on. There's one. All right. I don't screw them in all the way until I get them both in there. Another 375 screw. I also have tan 375 screws. Actually, I have tan in all the, Coyote Brown. I have it in all of my truss heads. But the paint around the threads makes them real hard to get in. So I don't use them that often. If somebody asks for them, I'll use them. Alright, let's see what we got here. Alright, now these are funny. These are funny. Tech locks are funny. Small tech locks. They don't want to close sometimes, and I could never figure that out. I think it's the way that it gets bent as you screw it down. There we go. Alright. Alright, so now this clip is going to make this thing ride well on your belt. So, hey, let's test it out. Hopefully, my belt's not too wide for this clip. There we go. Okay, see that? If you can see it. See how the handle rides up a little bit? It doesn't droop like it would if I didn't have it canted. So, perfect. That's a perfect carry, right? It's right there. This is called a right hand cross draw. Left hip carry, right hand cross draw. Okay? You can slide it around to there if you want. I know guys who put them all the way around to the front. They just slide their belt over and put them all the way in the front and draw it this way. Okay? This is, in my opinion, the best way to EDC a knife that has some size to it. The best way for a small knife is pocket carry or a necker. But the best way for a larger knife like this is cross draw. If you want to wear it mid-back carry behind your back, I never advocate that as a good style of carry because it's dangerous. Okay, I've seen guys actually poke themselves in the side trying to get that blade back in. Okay, the Apache Indians used to carry their knives that way, right? And that was like in battle, in wartime, right? And that was a last ditch effort weapon, right? And the special ops guys I know use that carry only as a last ditch weapon, right? A dagger or some type of small fighting knife in the middle of their back. They never touch it unless they have to. All right, so that's that style of carry. For everyday carry, it's just not practical, not in my opinion. Okay, so there it is. Okay, this is now fixed. It still has some play, right? That drives me nuts. But the only way I could fix it if I wanted to, but it's not that, I didn't make the sheath, so I'm going to let it stay. All right, so there it is. I could put a small ferro rod down here on these holes here, but that's how you fix it, right? So now this is a completely serviceable sheath, no problem. The thumb ramp works. There's one hand, you got one hand draw now, no problem. The last thing I like to do is I like to trim up the thumb ramp, make it symmetrical all the way around. I do that with a Dremel tool. Okay, guys, I hope you enjoyed this fix up your screwed up sheath, right, video. And if you have any comments, leave them down below. Okay, so the last thing I want to say is this sheath was made with a 1/2 inch ferro rod holder, right? And he had it on the side, but I just want you guys to see this because guys ask me, hey, I got a 5-inch blade, right? I want this, and this on it, right? I can fit some things on it, but a 1/2 inch by 6 inch or 5-inch ferro rod is not going to fit on a 5-inch blade or a 4-inch blade, whatever. The smallest that I would do is 6-inch blade, okay? This is a 4-inch blade, give or take, right? Here's what happens when you put it on there, okay? This is a 1/2 inch by 6 inch ferro rod. This is mine. Had it made by Rick Lindsay, right? And let's just say this gets put on here, okay? It is just too big for this sheath. It's just too big. Even if I put it on the face, right? It's even worse if I put it on the face of the sheath, right? Put it right here. Even if I can put it up here somewhere, right? It's just too big for the sheath. See how it hangs off? Right? Plus, these are really heavy ferro rods, right? I get just as effective a strike out of my 5/16 by 4-inch ferro rods, right, as I do with one of these, okay? Now you get a little more sparks, from the big one, but these work great. I have never had a problem getting a fire going with one of these. They are big enough to actually use, right, with the thumb hold there, right, but small enough not to be, over cumbersome, cumbersome or weighty or whatever. These things weigh a ton, right? So I don't advocate putting them on any sheath, but if you want one on a bigger knife, I'll do it for you, okay? I would rather put one of these on there for you. It gives me room for other things that you might not otherwise be able to have if you had a, huge 1/2 inch ferro rod on there, okay? These fit perfect, all right? So that's the last thing. All right, guys, thanks.
Yellow Hawk Customs Outdoors. Combat and wilderness grade custom knife and sheath systems. We've got the badass gear for the badass outdoorsman. Yellow Hawk.